Welcome into Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports, and sports is just something that we don't talk about. My name's Dyl, and if you notice something's a little bit different today, I'm outside, so I'm going to apologize for the background noise in advance. The birds are chirping because they are excited that we finally all now get to see the Bikeriders. The Bikeriders follows the rise of Midwestern motorcycle club, the Vandals. Seen through the lives of its members, the club evolves over the course of a decade from a gathering place for local outsiders into a more sinister gang, threatening the original group's unique way of life. The film stars Jodie Comer, Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, Michael Shannon, and it came out this past weekend, so let's talk all about it. So like many of you out there, I first caught wind of the Bikeriders during its world premiere secret screening at the Telluride Film Festival, and it immediately piqued my interest. I mean, first up, we got this cast. Austin Butler, my boy, he's been in some of my favorite movies of these last few years. We have Elvis, we have Dune Part 2, and who knows, maybe the Bikeriders will join that club. And then we have the legendary Kino Man himself, Tom Hardy. Picking of his films, he's always going to have an interesting accent. He's always going to bring his all to every role. And then the Bikeriders features two actors who at the time of its Telluride world premiere had one very interesting role to me, but I was eager to see where their careers would go next. That being Jodie Comer and Mike Weiss. And as we all know, since that Telluride premiere, Mike Weiss has starred in Challengers and taken the world over by storm. And the last thing I want to say before I dive into my thoughts about this movie is I'm a sucker for a biker film. While it's kind of hard to come up with a biker film, we've had some amazing TV focus episodes on bikers. I mean, we got that one with True Detective Season 1, which is just the peak pinnacle of cinema, and then we have Sons of Anarchy, which just is an amazing show. However, the road to the big screen has been anything but smooth for the Bikeriders. It's faced numerous delays due to the strikes, and then it had a giant change of studio for releasing, and just so many hurdles to overcome, but it has finally reached us. Now that it's here, what are my thoughts on the Bikeriders? I'm gonna be honest with you out there. Yes, as honest as I can be, the Bikeriders claims the title of the 2024 film with the most aura. And I know, cringe, but don't leave the video just yet. Let me tell you all about why I think this film has just a sense of aura. Watching this film is just an experience from top to bottom. It's a vibe that catches you from the first scene and doesn't let go until the end of the film. Going in, as I talked about, this film has a stellar cast. Some of those had very distinctive accents, and they were all on full force in this film. Austin Butler still has a little bit of Elvis in there. Tom Hardy's doing another Kino American accent. Jodie Comer with a Midwestern one. Mike Weiss, he had one in West Side Story. It's not as prevalent here. And then Michael Shannon, character actor Michael Shannon, is the best version of Michael Shannon. So yeah, from the first scene, this movie grips you by the collar and it just won't let go because it is thick with intensity. The storyline immediately draws you in because you're focusing on this world of these rugged, freedom-seeking bikers, and I really dug the angle of how they decided to tell the story, focusing on an interview between Mike Weiss' character of Danny and Jodie Comer's Kathy, and I honestly wish we get to see a little bit more of both of these characters outside of this interview perspective, because Danny is a character who I think has a very intriguing angle. He's writing this novel about these bikers, but we don't really learn how he comes to meet all of them and how he kind of works with the gang as a whole. And then we do get a lot of Jodie Comer. She's undoubtedly the lead of this film. She's amazing inside the film. I just wish we got to see more of her outside of her interaction with these bikers. But I've already talked about the cast a little bit. Let me continue to rave about how perfect this casting is. Austin Butler once again proves how he is just so good in every role that he has. He delivers a performance that's both nuanced and powerful, and he has such a cool factor to him. And you know, I wish I could look as cool as an AB. He's got the hair, he's got the posture, he's got the voice, he's got the mannerisms that all just make you believe that he is Benny, Benny is him, and you believe every second of his performance. And then you have Tom Hardy, who true to form brings a raw, gritty, and there's just this energy that elevates every scene that he's in. You feel his passion for his club, and you feel his pain once everything starts to crumble and he loses control. You know, the first half of the Bikeriders is kind of a true tour de force, and maybe that's a little bit, embellishing, but it really nailed what I wanted out of this film, because we have drama, funny enough, we have humor, and we have action. I think the story development is super compelling, and these characters are very interesting, making it easy to get invested in their journey. There's just this undeniable coolness to this film that's hard to really shake off. You know, I kind of wish this was a mini-series, because while I do really enjoy the film that we got, I want to spend more time with these characters and really dive into who they are, not just our main characters, but everyone in this gang. And I just want to learn more about them, learn their stories, and see life through their eyes. And that kind of leads me to my big issue with the Bikeriders. And as the film progresses, it slightly loses steam, and I think in the final third, the pacing just really drags in a negative way, and I feel like it could have benefited from, you know, a tighter edit, or as I said, a miniseries with more time with these characters, because I am super invested in the story. I want to see how Tom Hardy's Johnny's home life is and how he came to be to really make this club as a whole. We had a short, maybe like minute-long scene, but I would really love to see the opening of this club and how they all came together. And then we go over to Benny. I want to see his tics. I want to see him, what makes him so crazy as the film portrays him to be early on, and I want to see what he truly loved with his relationship with Jodie Comer. I want to see why they stick together throughout this whole entire film, and then going back to Danny as before, I want to see him write his novel. I want to see him take these photos. I want to see, you know, everything. I want to be more a part of these bikers and get to learn the ensemble more as a whole. And you know, the Bikeriders did have a rocky road to release, but I'm so glad that we got this movie, because it ultimately, at the end of the day, really delivers on just this vibe factor. It's just so cool. It's that type of movie you turn on, you can just chill with, because you just feel engrossed in this world in the best way possible. And that's going to bring me to my final rating of the Bikeriders, and I'm going to have to give this one a very strong 7 out of 10. It's a pretty really good film. It just doesn't reach that great factor, because I do feel like something is missing at the end of the day. Maybe that's a more impactful punch throughout the film, maybe that is making a tighter runtime, or maybe, as I said before, what I really wanted, more time with these characters to feel more invested with everyone from top to bottom, know their story, know why they're here, and know why the ultimate downfall of the gang hurt so much for each one involved. So let's talk awards, because at the end of the day, this is an Oscars channel after all, and as we saw last fall during its Telluride world premiere, 20th Century Fox, Disney, they had this film, they had the secret screening, it got positives, but there were also some mixed reception out of it. For whatever reason, they said, no, we're not releasing this. This is going to be punted to next year. And then they decided to sell it off. Focus Features picked it up. They just released it here during the summer. Summer releases aren't always Oscar contenders. I know last year we had Oppenheimer, we had Past Lives, we had Barbie. Those were juggernauts. This is not a juggernaut. Focus Features has it now, as I said before. They have movies. They have Conclave. That's a top to bottom contender. They have Nosferatu. We saw the trailer before this movie. I thought it looked great. Other people don't believe it's an Oscar contender. I'm holding out hope for Venice, but if it doesn't go to Venice, then yeah, Nosferatu is probably not a thing. Focus will put all its chips into Conclave, and you know, we'll see how that turns out. But I could see some random critics groups throw this movie a stray, throw it a bone, because I really did love the costume design of this movie. Going back to my Furiosa review, both of these films have amazing costume design with these biker groups. I mean, it's really hard to do biker costumes wrong, but something about them is just always so cool to me. And then, you know, the sound work here I think is pretty impressive. I didn't see this in Dolby, I didn't see this in IMAX, and I still felt the revs of the engines and felt very engrossed into the world, and I did feel like a part of the bikers when the engine started up. And Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, Jodie Comer, they're good inside this movie. I just don't think they're awards-worthy good in terms of capitalizing on a film that's not going to be a contender at much anywhere, honestly. But regardless, I did like this movie. I want to hear your thoughts on down below, and I would love to hear your thoughts about this different style of review. I'm home for like a day before I go back on the road, and while I'm on the road, I'm going to be recording the top 10 films of 2024 so far, so definitely stay tuned to that. Consider subscribing. A like helps us continue to grow. We've recently passed 8,000. Thank you to all for helping us get there. But until next time, my name is Dyl. This is Fantasy Filmball. Peace.